My favorite test, the tip test. Tip test. The tip test. Man, I think I bent the tip on this thing. On this episode, I Play with Knives. I'm doing a compilation video of just the tip tests. But first, let's do a subscriber shout out. And this week, it's from Hungry Bird again. Thanks, man. You always keep me updated as to great deals on knives. And if you want me to shout out your comment, first, you got to subscribe. And then number two, you got to make a decent comment. And then we'll go from there.
One eternity of making knife reviews later.
Based on your feedback, thanks, Robert. I'm using your suggestion here. We're going to go ahead and start a new test. It's called the tip test. This is just a 2x6 pine board. And we're going to go ahead and test these cheap knives and see how their tip ends up. Obviously, let's put some safety protection on, some gloves, so if this thing just fails, we don't wreck our hands. Well, I think that'll do it. 8 jabs into that 2x6, and it looks like I bent my tip. So we know that this isn't very strong steel at all. And it's what you should expect for a $20 knife from China. Alright, let's get the pliers and see if we can fix the tip here. This should be not a hard task, and after this it should be back to normal. There we go. All better. Moving on to the next test, the tip test. This is where I take this knife blade and I shove it in to this 2x6 and see if there's any damage. All right, let's put our gloves on before we start this test. Alright, let's see how this did. I don't think this bent the tip at all. I think it's pretty straight. It looks pretty sharp. There's no damage to it. I would say that this is a little bit better steel, and this did a great job. Alright, the next test is the tip test, where I jam the tip in this 2x6 about 10 times and twist it and see how it ends up. Well, after 8 stabs into a 2x6, this thing survived. It made it. It's got a little bit of a bend in the tip, but I've seen worse. So, I would say overall, give this knife a thumbs up on the tip test. It's the tip test, where I take this 2x6, let's see how we did, shall we? Man, look at that thing, straight as an arrow. There's not even any marks on the blade. I give this thing 2 thumbs up. And here we go. Let's see how we did. I think this blade held together just fine. There isn't that much, coating that's been rubbed off, just a little bit. But overall, I would say that this thing is pretty strong. It held up nicely. I'll give it a thumbs up. And see if I break it. Just kidding, Robert. We're not going to break your knife. Again. I didn't ruin this knife for Robert. There's just a tiny little bend in the tip. As you can see there, it's not as bad as other knives I've done. Let's see if I can bend this back just a little bit. It's pretty sharp just right at the tip. There's just a little bend over, but I think it held up okay. I mean, it's okay. Sorry, Robert, you got a little bend in your tip now, but that's the risk of sending it to the tip test. Shove the tip of this machete, can't even call it a knife, into this 2x6 about 8 times. Of course this thing is just fine. Look at that. Not even hardly a scratch at all. Look at that. It's thumbs up. It's a beast. It's a nice yard tool if that would glove on. Alright, let's see how we did. For a thin, slicey blade, there is no damage on this thing. This thing held up really well. I'd give this 2 thumbs up. This is my favorite test, the tip test. Safety first, even if your gloves have holes in them. Alright, that should do it. Let's see how it did. Man, that tip doesn't even have a scratch on it. But overall, I would say it survived the tip test. And I'm going to take this knife and really jam it in this thing to see if I can break it. But hopefully I bent it, but it doesn't appear like I did. Maybe just a little bit, but this stupid knife is straight. I didn't do a thing to it. This knife survived, so I guess it's halfway decent. Didn't even really scratch the paint. There's a couple scratches on it, but I think that it did really well. I would say that's straight. I would say this knife survived the tip test. Man, I think I bent the tip on this thing. Yep, just a little bit. You can see it right there. Just bent the tip, which means this probably isn't a high-grade Damascus steel. It's probably softer than a real authentic one. Hey guys, thanks for watching today. If you like this video, go ahead and click on that like button. And if you haven't yet subscribed, go ahead and click on that subscribe button and click on that bell for all the notifications. Leave a comment down below if you like this format and you want to see more compilation videos of my knife reviews. Keep them sharp and take it easy.